guys, it's Michaela. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys all of my photography equipment and showing you how I edit all of my pictures. So I am a deckhand / wildlife photographer for the company Newport Coastal Adventure. I have a photography account if you guys want to check that out. It's always linked down below and it is always at the end of all of my videos. This video is going to be slightly different than any other photography video you probably have watched because this is going to be on a budget. I by no means have a $2,000 camera setup or a $2,000 drone. I am a 20-year-old college student who has been taking pictures for the better half of like my life basically. I've been taking pictures since pretty much 2010. Fun fact, I used to have a SeaWorld photography account. I'm not proud of it, but that's where I got all of my experience. I went on whale watching boats a lot starting last year, 2019, and this year in March 2020 I was hired as a photography / deckhand for the whale watching company Newport Coastal Adventure, as I said. So I have been slowly gaining more experience and I really wanted to show you guys all of the equipment that I use because I might be a little bit biased, but I think I do have some really great shots. But I hope you guys enjoy and let's dive in. I'm gonna be starting off first with my camera bag. So I got this bag off of Amazon. It is the brand Motocur. It's technically a backpack or a diaper bag, but I really loved it as a camera bag. There's an airplane going by, so sorry about that. But the first like little pocket right here, I just have a chapstick. I emptied this out pretty much since my company is not doing tours, obviously with this whole pandemic going on. One of the main reasons I got this backpack is because it has so many pockets. So we have this front pocket and then this pocket. So in this pocket I have my first little like equipment thing. This is by the brand Honski, and it is just a SD card holder, and I just hold all of my SD cards, and it can also hold micro SD cards, and I will link all of my equipment down in the description if you guys are interested in checking it out. Pretty much all of it is from Amazon. Next in this pocket I have like Advil, gum, and I also have Dramamine. Fun fact, I used to get really bad seasickness, but ever since I started going on boats more often, I think I kind of got my sea legs, as they like to put it. So I carry this with me just in case I suddenly get seasick, someone on the boat gets seasick, and it's always good to have Dramamine when you work on a boat. Other than that, I just have a bunch of band-aids. You never know when you're gonna need one. Another reason why I loved this bag is how deep it is, and it has a laptop compartment. So I don't have anything in here obviously except a snack. This was from my last trip that I went on. But I loved this because it was super deep, so I could put my camera at the bottom, a jacket, a lunchbox, and just load this backpack up. And I also really liked it because it had the front closing flap, so it is more secure than just a regular backpack. Next, I'm going to quickly talk about my camera. Obviously, I am filming on it. I use the same camera for my photography and my YouTube. It is the Canon EOS Rebel T4i. It came out a long time ago. I got this off Craigslist when I graduated high school, so that just proves photography does not need to be expensive. You can find so many resources and equipment on Craigslist, Amazon for pretty cheap, Facebook Market, Craigslist, I think I already said Craigslist, apps like Let It Go and stuff like that. As far as my lens goes, I do not use the lens I'm using now. I use this lens, and you're probably looking at me like this is not a wildlife photography lens. I agree with you. I would love to upgrade to a 100 to 400 millimeter lens, but they're like really expensive. But this is just the Canon EOS 55 to 250 lens, and I lost the lens cap, which is really sad, so I have to be really careful. But this zooms out a pretty good length. It's not anything crazy like the 100 to 400 millimeters, but this gets me by, and this has a great image quality along with the camera body. So if I'm a little too far away in the picture, I can always zoom and crop it and it still looks great. My next camera is my GoPro. I love my GoPro. I have not been able to use it sadly since I got it. I got it for myself for my 20th birthday back in February. I put it in the water once and I actually forgot to rinse it with regular water, and there's still like salt on it, so take care of your equipment if you want it to last. I need to take my own advice. but this is the GoPro Hero Black 7. This was around, I believe, $300. I love this camera. I've used it for other things besides whale watching, but my last whale watching trip I went on, I stuck it in the water. I'm still a little bit inexperienced with the GoPro, so I need to get a lot more practice on that, but these are used for whale watching, to stick them down in the water to record underwater things. Now, to record underwater things, you need basically a selfie stick. So this is by the brand Smatry, I believe. I really want to get a longer one because, as you can see, it doesn't, how do I do this? Wow, okay, oh, there we go. It's not that long, and my boat is pretty low to the water, but it's not this low, so I really want to get another one. But this is great if you're going snorkeling. You can just hold it right in front of you or hold it like this. It's way easier to hold something like this rather than just something like this while you're focusing on scuba diving or snorkeling or whale watching. This was like $15 on Amazon. These are super inexpensive. My next camera that I use is the Canon SX730. This is my vlogging camera, but I also take it with me on trips to video. I'm not a huge videographer person besides YouTube, but I thought it would be really great to bring this along with me to get super high quality videos to post on my Instagram as well. I got this camera back in November of 2018, I believe, or 2019. No, it was 2018. And I love it because it has a flip-up screen. It's a really great knockoff of the G7X, which is like $800, and this is more like $500. I got this on clearance because Best Buy didn't have a brand new one, so this was actually an open box return. So I highly recommend asking your Best Buy if they have open box returns because it is a great deal. And this is 20.3 megapixels. Great little camera to just throw in your bag and take with you to take high quality video. Next, I'm going to be moving on to more of the editing side rather than the actual photography side. So I edit on my MacBook Pro. I believe this is a 2018. It's the one with like only the 3 ports. I love this computer. I got it for my high school graduation back in 2018. This is my child. I love this. I just love it so much. And I will be editing a video for you guys in the next section of this video, and I will be screen recording on my Mac to show you guys how I edit. But before we get into that, obviously before you edit a video or a picture, you need to get it on your computer. And if you guys noticed, this computer does not have a USB port. So I didn't notice that when I bought it, but it got shipped to my house and I opened it and I tried to plug in my USB SD card, and I was like, where is it? And then I did a little more research and I found out that you need one of these bad boys if you have a newer MacBook. This is a USB adapter type thing. Apple sells them, I think, for like $90. This was $20 on Amazon. So you just plug this into the port right here, and then you can put USB ports, micro SD card, and a regular SD card to transfer everything to your computer. Now, as far as storing my photos, I personally just use flash drives. I have a lot of flash drives. I think I have like 4 or 5 that are filled with pictures, but this is just a SanDisk. I think it's like a 32 gigabyte. I know a lot of people use hard drives, but I don't have the money for that right now because I don't have either of my jobs. But I just use flash drives and they work great for me. Now that I showed you all of my equipment that I use to photograph / video and all of the equipment I use to edit my pictures, let's go ahead and go edit a picture. Alright guys, so now we are on my MacBook, my home screen obviously. So as you can see, this is my flash drive right here. I just plug it into my computer whenever I need to edit some pictures. So I will just open it and scroll through my pictures. So these are all of my pictures. I don't really go through and delete a bunch. These have been sorted through just because I have been really bored during quarantine. So let's go ahead and just pick a picture. I really like this one. You can see he has an entanglement scar around his neck. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that to my desktop. And speaking of desktop, this desktop picture was taken by me. This is a offshore bottlenose dolphin taken aboard Newport Coastal Adventures back in December 2019. This is just a prime example on how and why you do not need a $2,000 camera setup to take nice pictures. This is my favorite picture I have ever taken in my entire life. I have it hanging in my room. It's one of my home screens on my phone, and it's just such a beautiful picture. So now that we have our picture chosen, keep in mind I usually edit like 5 to 6 pictures at a time, but for right now and time's sake, I will be only editing this one. So we're going to come down here and open Lightroom. I do use the cheaper version. This one is $10 a month. I don't feel like I am advanced enough in the photo editing area to pay for the expensive Lightroom. So we're just going to go ahead and click Add Photos. And it's going to bring me to my desktop. And I'm going to click this sea lion picture, Review for Import, and just add one photo. So you can see down here at the bottom, these are all of my pictures that I have edited so far. I just started really getting into photo editing during quarantine. I used to use the app Visco on my phone, but I figured I should be editing them a little bit nicer now since I work for a whale watching company. So let's go ahead and start editing. So we can zoom in, and here you can clearly see his entanglement scar. So I really like this picture. It is a good representation on what actually happens out in the wild. So let's go ahead and zoom out. And I always start with the preset natural. I don't have my own preset. I don't know how to use presets. Hopefully I can learn one day, but for now, this works great for me. So I always tool with the exposure, whether I want it a little darker or a little lighter. The contrast usually needs to be bumped up just a little bit from the natural preset I already put on it. The highlights, I don't really notice a difference much in highlights, but I like to have a little bit of highlight in my picture. Shadows, of course, is a huge thing. You don't want to go too dark because you won't be able to see the subject. So I personally like them pretty up because, as you can see, the 20 shadow setting is perfect. You can see the sea lion perfectly. Whites is to counter-react all of the whiteness going on in the picture. So obviously at 100%, it's very, very washed out. I personally like my pictures not to have a lot of white in them. Even like this, I don't think it looks that great. Just personal preference. Everyone edits their photos differently. And blacks is obviously taking all of the darks out. So instead of it being way too dark, you obviously up the black, and it's exactly the opposite of the white effect. So I typically like to keep my blacks somewhat in the middle. So that is all of the basic editing, like the lighting of the picture. So now we're going to move down to color. I personally like my pictures to be more warm toned than cool toned. So as you can see, I am now -15 in temperature, so it's a little bit more blue, and it gets more blue and blue as you go. So I personally, like I said, like to be a little more warm, but for this picture, it looks like I might have to go a little bit more cool just because it's not a very bright picture. So for tint, it's the exact same thing except purple and green. I typically don't really do anything with the tint. I usually leave it at 0. And vibrance is how bright it is. I love upping my vibrance just so it is a very pretty color. So this water right now almost looks artificial. That reminds me a lot of the water back when I used to photograph at SeaWorld. So I personally will probably keep it right around here. Saturation, pretty basic. It's just how like bright or dull you want your picture. All the way down is black and white. I personally don't like doing photography in black and white. I think the ocean has so many beautiful colors and we don't want to dull them out using black or white. So I think for this picture I will keep it right at about 11 or between 11 and 13 saturation. So now moving on to effects, this is like the texture. You can see you can make it super smooth or super rugged. It totally depends on the picture for me, but sometimes I like to smooth it out a little bit. But the waves really have a lot of definition and texture to them, so I'm just going to bump it up just a little bit. Clarity is a tricky one sometimes. You definitely don't want your clarity up all the way, but you definitely don't want it down all the way. So you just have to pick a happy medium. I think I'm going to keep it right around 4. Dehazing is super great. I never used to use this tool when I first started with Lightroom. So dehazing is amazing. If you go, it kind of just takes all the cloudiness out of a picture. I personally really like using it. So you could see this is the normal one, and I personally like to dehaze it just a little bit, so we're going to keep it right at 25. Vignette, I really don't know. Oh, Vignette is just like borders. I don't like borders on my picture, so I'm just going to keep that at 0. And grain, as you can tell, it just makes it more grainy. I don't like that effect on my pictures, so I just leave that at 0. And sharpening is a great tool, but I personally like to just keep my sharpening between like 10 and 20, depending on the picture. Noise reduction doesn't really do anything. Oh, actually it does. It makes pretty big difference if it's a certain type of picture. So as you can see, it kind of just, I think, smooths out the water. Not on this picture. Color noise reduction, again, really isn't doing anything for this picture. These two have to be a certain type of picture for them to actually work. Geometry, I don't really get into. And then cropping, I always do on my phone just because I find it so much easier. And the healing brush, this picture doesn't really have anything that you need to take out of it. And the brush, again, doesn't really have anything that needs to be fixed with it. And linear gradient, again, with not really needing to be fixed. So this picture was a very basic picture to edit. I just needed to bump up some options and take down some options. So we are going to go ahead and export it. I always export as a JPEG, full size, and we're just going to wait for this to load. So export one photo into, I usually do it into, I have a file folder of all of my edited pictures, so I'm just going to export that. And it is done exporting, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize Lightroom. So this is the before. Let me make it a little bit smaller. This is the before, and let me go ahead and pull up the after. Let's see here. So this is the before on the right, and this is the after on the left. So photo editing makes a huge difference, and I definitely recommend investing in even just Lightroom. $10 a month, not that expensive. As you can tell, huge difference. I really love how this photo turned out. And let's go ahead and get back to me talking to the camera. So that's all the equipment I use to edit slash videograph slash photograph and how I edit my pictures. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!